Okay, another video. This is David, and I'm coming to you from the funniest church in the world. The constant stream of hilarity created by the Mormon cult church. You know, I just came across this myself. I find that I'm still learning so much. I tell you, I've been a member of that Mormon church for 50 years, a half a century, active, never excommunicated, no smoking, no drinking, no sex, worked in the temple, worked in the elders quorum presidency, worked in the stake presidency. I never had any trouble with the Mormon church until I started to read and think. Oh my, and those of you that are Mormons that are doing it, it's the internet, it's the internet. Well, the internet wasn't even invented most of my life, so it's not the internet. I decided on my own to resign from the Mormon church. And here's an example. This video is not only sad and disgusting, but it's hilarious. I mean, you can't make this kind of stuff up. Do you know any church in the world that puts electrodes on homosexual men's penises to try to get them to be heterosexual? Tell me! Send it in the notes. Send it to my comments. Oh, I know 7 churches that put electrodes on men's penises, and they put electrodes on girls' vaginas who are lesbian. I wasn't a grad student at BYU, but I could have helped the grad program a little bit. I was a grad student, of course, at Northeastern State University. This is nut stuff. It's gone on and on and on, and you, the public, and I'm sorry, but about 30% of the people who are going to look at this video are Mormons in Utah. I'm trying to get out of that category and out of that marketplace. I can't. Every time I hit my demographics, there it is. Utah is the most popular state that looks at my videos by the hundreds and now by the thousands. Okay, Thomas S. Monson, the new prophet of the Mormon church. The penis expert. The penis expert. I don't know if he's an expert on vaginas. I don't know. Thomas S. Monson, now the prophet of the Mormon church, and certainly going to be able to tell Mitt Romney how to run the United States if you people decide to let Mitt in. That's your business. Okay, let me tell you something. There was a Values Institute. Oh, I love the way Mormons use words. The Values Institute, 1978. Okay, Monson was one of the main administrative people in the Mormon church who started and approved and presented to the first presidency the ideas on the Values Institute in 1976 at the famous Brigham Young University. This is Mormon crap. This isn't the Catholics. This isn't Jehovah's Witness. This isn't the Baptists or the Lutherans. This is the Mormon cult that does this kind of crap. So, he says, okay, I want to spend $150,000 of the members' tithing money. And the first presidency says, well, what's it for? And he says, well, putting electrodes on guys' penises when I show them pornography, and if they start to get an erection, I'm going to try to make them heterosexual. And the first presidency goes, I can buy that. What do you think, Jesus? Yeah, Jesus said it's good. Monson, go for it. Go down there and get those erections. Get those erections off of campus. So, there was a guy named Dr. Robert Card, C-A-R-D. Now, how he got a medical degree, I don't know. If it was a medical degree, that I'm not sure of it. You can have a doctorate in philosophy and other kinds of areas. But he was in charge of the electrotherapy chair, machine, and pornography that was shown to these young men. I've seen 3 of the victims that were down there. There's been hundreds of victims, but I happened to see 3 of them tell their story. And again, you have the internet. Go look at it. You know, if I'm lying, I'm dying here. If I'm lying, I'm dying. You want to pay money? Go to the mall? Be happy. Be happy. Anyway, Dr. Robert Card was in charge of this in 1984. It went from 79 to 84. It was called originally the Values Institute in 1976, started by Monson. Then Monson oversaw this program with Dr. Robert Card clear into 1984. basically, in an evolutionary process, it turned into what's called the Evergreen program. Well, the information that these people are giving of what happened to them is just unbelievable. It's like a Nazi concentration camp. That's the closest thing I can think of to a Nazi concentration camp. Electroshock therapy was used a lot in the United States, the 30s, 40s, and 50s, for punishment for schizophrenics and other serious mental disorders in hospitals, and it was abused. Jack Nicholson with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was a perfect example in a movie of how that was used. Adversion therapy. I know something about this. I have a master's degree in psychology and advanced credits and research and scientific stuff and statistics. Adversion therapy has been around a long time. It's taken different forms and different formats and has had small to no success over many decades of life. Adversion therapy is that, for instance, if you're a smoker and you don't want to smoke anymore, you come to somebody like me in a counseling session. I have my tie on and my garment showing and the books behind and the flag right here and the books and all the awards. You know, you come to me and basically say, I don't want to smoke anymore. I'd like to engage in some adversion therapy. I say, okay. So what I do is I say, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to smoke 27 packs of cigarettes a day. What? Yeah, a day. Well, what if I throw up? It's okay if you throw up. What if I can't breathe? It's okay if you can't breathe. What if I think I'm going to die? It doesn't matter if you're going to die. That's adversion therapy. You overdo some segment of a person's physical, psychological, mental, social needs and problems or habits, and pretty soon they get sick of it. They don't want to smoke cigarettes anymore. And like I said, there's been some successes with choices that people make. But there's never been any successes in adversion therapy to say, well, I don't want to be a man. Well, go home and think about being a vagina. Go home and think about being a vagina. Over and over. And he comes back 3 weeks later, oh, doctor, here's your $1,000. I think I'm a vagina now. It's never worked. I'm telling you, as a master's level psychologist, if it's a basic human need or an intricate part of the person's personality, adversion therapy is fantasy. It's not going to work, and we've known that for decades. Why BYU went on down through this up until 84, and some say even continuing into the 90s, is beyond me. I have no idea. They obviously have people that are not educated there. They have degrees, but they're not educated. So basically, the adversion therapy at BYU was that they would set these young men, and I guess young women. Now, the young women didn't do any responses to this study that I read. It was only the men. And being a woman, I would imagine, you know, putting electrodes on your vagina and then talking in public about it would make you look stupid, and I'm sure the guys felt stupid. Be that as it may, the adversion therapy was basically intravenous. Now, I don't know how they're getting away with this shit at BYU, because that has to be done by a registered nurse or a doctor. You can't just stick a needle in someone and put a bag up and say, you know, this is intravenous. So what they did is Dr. Card invented a penis machine. That's a great thing. You know, he's probably the head of the elders quorum or the high priest quorum in his ward, and he invents a penis machine to measure how hard and how quick erections go up. Now, that's a good thing for a Mormon to do, because they're so sexually repressed, they would watch flies having sex and get off on it. So he invents, and I just looked at his patent. And it is extremely professional. I have no complaint about the patent, the statistics, and how it was arrived at, and the statistical formulas that we use were perfect. Right on. Man, when you have a penis assignment and you're a Mormon, you do good. So the guy sat down. They put this machine on his penis. Hopefully, you know, it's not erect at the time. And they put the wires out, and then they put IV in his arm. And basically, they start showing him heterosexual pornography, and I'm sure all the grad students were in there going, hey, I want to be part of this group. Hey, can I run the projector? Good Lord. These people are so penis and vagina hung up. I've never seen anything like it in my life. So everyone's lined up to watch the pornography. So pretty soon the pornography is homosexual, erection to erection. And if his penis does anything, the light goes off and basically the IV machine pumps into him a liquid that makes him just vomit and vomit and vomit. Oh. So when he gets done wiping his face and the vomit out of the bowl at BYU, now they show him a man and a woman and a penis in a vagina. And then they pump in the IV, endorphins or other kinds of medication that goes, oh, I'm happy. Now, there is some basis in psychology for this kind of therapy. This is not... The way it was used is bizarre, but the idea behind the therapy of association is a psychological foundation that has some credibility, even today in the United States. So here this guy sits in there, I don't know if it was 2 hours, 1 hour, who knows how long it was, and who cares? To sit there and everyone's watching the pornography and he's getting an erection, everyone else is too, but they don't have the penis machine on them, and they don't have the IV in them. And they are not being vomiting all over, and they're not having all of these upper drugs being pumped in to go, oh, vaginas and penises, oh, that looks good. That makes me feel good. And half of the people in there, well, that makes me feel good too. Now, some of the sad part of it. One of them said that during this time, when he was there, it's a short period of time, most of the men and the women quit the program because it was so bizarre, so painful, and so... unregulated. 3 young men at BYU hung themselves in the Fine Arts Center. You know, I've been in the Fine Arts Center. I've watched programs there and shows. Beautiful building. They hung themselves on the balcony, over the balcony. That's where I've sat a couple of times in the Fine Arts Center. To walk in there and see 3 young, healthy men who are in college and their whole life is ahead of them, hanging themselves because this hideous cult, and I'm going to say it again and again, this hideous cult hates them, and they want those penises to be flaccid unless they're temply married and they have their right arm to the square and they're terrorized and slitting their throats and cutting their guts out. This is an extremely subtle, dangerous cult. Nobody knew this was going on. I was at BYU in 72. In 72. This was still going, not still going, but it was going on 6 years later. I didn't hear anything about it. I didn't know anything about it. Neither did most of you who are watching. You've never heard of the Evergreen Project or the Values Institute, all run by Monson, Thomas S. Monson. Thomas Shock Therapy Monson. Is this the way you want your family raised? Is this where you want your kids going to college? Do you want these secret experiments? One of the boys there was 15 years old. Do you know in 1976 it's against the law to show pornography to underage children? But not to the Mormons. Oh, not the Mormons. God told them to do this. We're going to save him from his penis. So we're going to show him all this pornography that is basically homosexual and then heterosexual, and then we're all going to stare at his penis. Because that's what Jesus told us to do. I'm not that stupid anymore. I used to be. I was there for 50 years going, well, maybe our ways are not the Lord's ways, and maybe the prophet knows things we don't. I've been through that crap. This is abuse. Child abuse and adult abuse. This is abuse of sexual orientation. The numbers are consistent, have been for years and years. Basically 7% of every country and every world are homosexual. It is not something people choose. This is a hideous crime committed by the Mormon Church.